Alright, so let's talk a little bit about Death Race Anarchy. This is the final remake edition of the franchise. So we had the Death Race remake with Jason Statham in 2008, and then we had three direct to DVD and Blu ray sequels, this being the last one. This is Beyond Anarchy. This was released in 2018, and this stars, I'm going to look for his name, it's Zach McGowan. And while I was watching this film, I recognized his face. I'm like, I've seen this dude in at least one place before. So I'm looking at his filmography. He was in a few things. The one that I recognized him the most is from Shameless. As soon as I saw Shameless, I'm like, yeah, that's it. He was in seasons 2 and 3 as the blonde girl's like quiet, like macho boyfriend, you could say. He was also in Dracula Untold, although I have not seen Dracula Untold, so I don't really recognize him from it, whether he was the star or not. Um, but yeah, this I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 because there is some things I like about it, and there is some things I don't. Um, the main thing is that there's not a lot of racing in this movie. There's one race. They obviously go from stage 1 to 2 to 3, but like it's one main race at the end of the film. We're talking an hour and 18 minutes into the thing. And the rest is just like Mad Max post apocalyptic shit. So basically, in this film, Death Race has become illegal. And the only place that makes sense for me to like put this in the timeline would be after the first film. So continuity wise, I would say what makes sense is Death Race 2, then Death Race 3, then Death Race 1, like the Jason Statham one, and then this. So Death Race is illegal now, and they have this prison containment, even though it's literally just a post apocalyptic city. Like everybody lives in fucking broken down, burnt down buildings, and is just in this pit of abandoned city that's surrounded by a huge wall kind of thing. And they still do Death Race underground. And Lists is back. Danny Trejo is back, but literally for no reason, because in Death Race 3, he was able to get out of prison. Him and Luke something. I already forget his name. The star of Death Race 2 and 3. They got out, but Liz stayed behind in the prison in the prison system or whatever. So Danny Trejo's in Mexico, and he's watching the underground death races from Mexico. But that's pretty much all he does. Lists calls him, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" And then they're betting on this new guy. His name is Connor Gibson. Connor Gibson is the new guy played by Zach McGowan. And they're like Danny Trejo pretty much just spends his character being fed by this Spanish woman, like fed grapes and snacks and stuff, and then just betting on the TV and gambling. Like he I guess he just wanted another role or a paycheck, or they really wanted to bring him back. He's pretty much a cameo essentially. He's not given much to do as a role. He's just kind of there as like the guy who's been in the last two movies, and he's there again, just not in prison or helping out with the race in any way. He's just gambling on the race that he used to work for. But yeah, it's funny how they did that. But regardless, this guy, Connor Gibson, comes into this prison, and Frankenstein's back, except, like I said, Frankenstein doesn't do much racing until the very end of the movie, where he's going head to head with Connor Gibson, who's this new guy, this new up and comer. And it's just Frankenstein running the show. Like, everybody is trying to, like, there's police involvement now. Everybody's like trying to shut down death races because they have to do them fast because police will interfere and stuff like that. There's this guy called the Warden, who he doesn't have a name, he's just called the Warden, and he's trying to get to Frankenstein and shut down Frankenstein as much as he can, because Frankenstein is gaining so much power in this little uh, prison. I don't even know what you would call it. It's a containment area. It's a containment area of an abandoned city kind of thing, and he basically owns it. He runs it like a mob boss kind of thing. He wears the mask, and he runs the show. Anytime people are trying to come in and shut him down, he brings all these henchmen. He's got like this gang of henchmen with chainsaws that he broadcasts, these guys with chainsaws just hacking up the police, and he broadcasts it, and he's like, hey, try again, and I'll bring like double what you see right now, kind of thing. So he's like this ruthless kingpin, essentially. And that's the thing about this movie. It's like, Death Race Beyond Anarchy. Okay, it goes beyond anarchy. It goes into like Mad Max style, I guess. I like when the like prison person is bringing in this new bunch of prisoners, including Connor Gibson, and he's like, "There are no virgins within these walls because life has fucked you all." I really like that quote. There is a lot of things to quote in this movie. I like some of the quotes. There's this woman that calls herself Honey something, or she's one of the racers anyway. She's this big black lady, and she busts out the whole Betty White line from Lake Placid. She's like, "If I had a dick, honey, this is where I'd tell you to suck it." I'm like, Betty White from Lake Placid. I remember that. And there is one of the first races is just between the women. I think they're fighting again for who's going to be the sit driver, the women who sit by the male drivers while they, like what happened in the last movies, and they're doing a dirt bike race. So the first race is a dirt bike race. It's all right. Even the final race, it's just all right. There's nothing big that happens other than Connor Gibson needing to do this massive jump over a broken bridge, and to win the race. That's the only way he can win the race, because he gets so far behind that he needs to take this massive shortcut. But it involves doing this like death-defying, huge-ass jump, and obviously he makes it. But that's the most like suspenseful, cool thing about the race. Other than that, it's just the most mediocre race that you've seen. Better death races in the three previous movies. So this movie doesn't offer too much. It offers cool characters sometimes. The costumes are great. There's this female character named Gypsy Ray who's really cool, and I liked her. I liked her mannerisms. I liked her personality a lot. I loved her accent. She's a very sexy woman. Loved everything about her. What's his face? Frankenstein was fine. The mask was very different. He looks very much like the Predator. Very much like the Predator. The mask and his hair. And he has this like tube thing attaching from his head to his cheek or something like that. It's very post-apocalyptic looking, and I just thought of Predator immediately. They call this containment area the Sprawl, by the way. So Frankenstein is like the kingpin of the Sprawl, as they say in the movie. What else? Connor Gibson does not simp. All right, Connor Gibson is just introduced as a non-simper. All right, there's this bartender that invites him over, saying that she has a bottle and she's willing to share, and then they go drinking, and she tells him her backstory, like she had a husband and she shot him 9 times, and her only regret was that she didn't shoot him 10. And she's like, "Still want to knock boots with me?" And he's like, "I never said I did." I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "Okay, well, really, I was just looking for somebody to share this bottle with, and I wasn't really gonna offer anyway." And I'm like, okay, save face, funny. And then the announcer of the bike race at that point, but the whole announcer, the woman who replaces September Jones or whatever her name was, really beautiful girl again. But there's a shower scene where Connor Gibson's taking a shower, and she comes in and she's naked, full frontal. I love the full frontal. You see everything. It's awesome. And she's like, Frankenstein said you might need a new shirt. And she's like, "I thought you might need me instead." And Connor Gibson's like, "I'm not into porn stars." Jeez, this guy's not fucking anyone. He does end up doing the bartender later on, and that's probably why he turned down the announcer because he was falling in love with the bartender. But regardless, it's really funny how he just like shuts these girls down. And it's like, are you doing it to be macho or are you doing it because you're legitimately not interested? Either way, it's funny. But yeah, I liked how they did that. They did a little bit with Luke Goss, or I think it's fuck. I'm bad with names. The star of 2 and 3. You know exactly who I'm talking about if you've seen the films and if you've seen my my last reviews. There's no twist at the end of this film. It just, it ends with they shut the cameras down and Frankenstein is like got into an accident, and then Gypsy Ray comes along and shoots his ass down behind the cameras because the warden wanted Frankenstein's death to be broadcast to the world, so everybody knows that Frankenstein is down. But Danny Glover's character, who I love seeing Danny Glover in this film too, another great addition to Death Race. He's cool to see anywhere. Danny Glover's the man. He always makes a great appearance in anything he shows up in. So he's like, fuck the warden, and he shuts the cameras off, and that's when Gypsy Ray shoots down Frankenstein behind the scenes. And then Connor just puts his mask on and becomes the new Frankenstein behind the scenes before the cameras go back on. Even though he's given the choice to leave because there's a helicopter to come pick him up, and I did get a little bit ahead of myself. Connor Gibson ends up being part of Wayland Enterprises, so he is a cop essentially, and he is undercover going into this race because he was sent into this sprawl, this containment area, to defeat Frankenstein because Frankenstein was becoming way too big of a kingpin. He was basically turning into a Scarface character, and the warden just wants to eliminate him because he's getting way, way, way too much power, and this worries the warden and worries the whole prison system because this containment area is supposed to be like basically Frankenstein put it as a replacement for the death penalty. So instead of the death penalty, you just throw these people who were supposed to go to the death penalty into this place and they just kill each other off, essentially. And I like that idea. I think that's cool. But this guy, Connor Gibson, was sent in as like a infiltrator, like a undercover police officer, essentially, to take out Frankenstein. And he does, along with Gypsy, who you realize that is another employee doing the same thing, and she eliminates him. And Connor's given the choice to jump in the chopper and get the hell out of Dodge, but he decides, nah, I'm gonna stay. I'm the new Frankenstein. I'm gonna take this place for my own. And then credits roll. So not nothing like crazy, surprising like Death Race 3 and Death Race 2 did it a little bit as well. But cool kills. There's a great fight between Connor Gibson and this huge bulky guy with a hammer and a sickle. And a hammer, I mean like a jackhammer, and a fucking sickle. And this guy's like dual wielding these things. So there's this great like gladiator style fight between those two. And then Connor Gibson gets a hold of the hammer and just smashes the guy in the face. And there's a lot of gore in this film. This is like unrated and unhinged. And it's fine. It's a 2.5 out of 5 for me, but it's not a Death Race movie until the last, I'd say 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, but I think it's like the last 20 minutes that we start to get a race. And you had the really cool jump at the end, but that's like your grand finale, and it's like, man, we had better grand finale. We had better grand openings in the last movies compared to this grand finale. So I don't know. It's a love or hate. This one's going to be very divisive. It's clearly the weakest Death Race in these four. I really liked number 2. I might like number 2 better than number 1. Might. They're on par right now, but 3 was okay, and then this one is the weakest. But it still has its fun moments. It still has its good characters, and it's still a fun movie. I was gonna say it's still a fun Death Race movie, but the race aspect is definitely lacking in it. But it's fine. It's a good film. It's a good action, gory action film, I would say. So that's Death Race Beyond Anarchy, and that's my my thoughts on the remake franchise. And I mean, they're worth a watch, especially the first two, definitely. So that's what I got on those, and don't really know much else to say. If you've seen them, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen them, go check them out. They they make a good binge. I'll give them that. They definitely make a very good binge. So pick them up on Blu-ray or stream them somewhere and check them out and have a good time with them. So just shut your brain off and just have a good time with the nonsensical carnage going on, essentially. And subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more when I can. Check out my content if you're interested. And until next review, take care. Have a good one. See you next time. Cheers.